rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Big shout out to Bonnie. Bonnie, we are sorry for your loss. We prayed last night for, of course, for you and for your family, and obviously for Fat Paws as well. So, just so you know, we're all thinking about you, and we are so very sorry about what had happened. I hope you are doing better and well enough, given the situation and everything. But feel free to reach out if you need to. Okay. All right, folks, let's go ahead. So one of the things that obviously tomorrow is Thanksgiving. No show for tomorrow. Okay. I'm going to be spending time with Mrs. Whiskey, and perhaps my son and his lovely fiance will grace us with their presence. But other than that, it's just Mrs. Whiskey and I. So very quiet day. I hope you and all of yours are able to gather and be together and everything. On this Thanksgiving. One of the things that I like to do, of course, is I like to set up traditions. So for an example, tomorrow being Thanksgiving, we try to watch the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and do traditions and add those in. Same thing with, like, as we ramp up to Christmas, we like to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Santa Claus is coming to town, Frosty the Snowman, all those things that, I grew up with as a kid. And one of the things that I would suggest as a part of that routine, should you decide that you want to, as part of that routine, I would suggest you search up and find the Rush Limbaugh True Thanksgiving. Yeah, Christmas Carol too. Yep, but the Rush Limbaugh True Story of Thanksgiving. For his years on the radio as part of the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, he would tell the true story of Thanksgiving on his radio program. And they do have it available. And I will put the link. This is from the official Rush Limbaugh site. And I just realized I got to go through and get all of the chats up in order to do this. So bear with me while I do this. I had to make a quick pit stop before I came live, and unfortunately I lost where I was. So anyway, give me just a second here. Let me get all of this up. But as I was saying, the Rush Limbaugh story, the true story of Thanksgiving, is a big thing that everyone should listen to. And I actually linked in the show notes to a what do you call it? A story in the Federalist, which follows along with Rush's true story. And he actually even calls it out at one point, I think, as a part of it. But I think I've got everybody up now. So let me go ahead and do this. So here is the official Rush Limbaugh story of Thanksgiving. And if you can copy and paste that, grab that and copy and paste it and open it up, it's got the video of it. And it is let's just put it this way. It is fantastic, the story, and he goes through it in depth. I'm not going to go quite to the same depth that he did. I will jump to, pop a little bit, but yeah. Anyway, we're going to get to that a little bit later on. I've got a response to last night's conversation with regards to Mark Kelly and his medals. No real surprise there, and a couple of other things that have come up for it. And yeah, it is just, let's put it this way, it is just amazing for some of the things that have been occurring here recently. We'll try and get to all that here in just a moment, but first, let's go ahead and do our Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight is going to be done by Pops McGroin and partner. So Pops McGroin and partner are up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Pops McGroin as they, and partner, I should say, Pops McGroin and partner, as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
That's right. God bless America. And of course, I thank you for Pops McGroin and partner for doing that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting the pledge in your style, reciting or performing the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. And you can send it off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. Also, too, if you use your phone, you can use the share feature. The share feature, which will do the same thing. And you can send it off to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. All right, folks. Before we get to tonight's headline sponsor, of course, it is...
Down to business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
It is Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And tonight, unfortunately, Bonnie, if I'd have known that you were going to be here, I would have grabbed the 4 Roses. I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if she's going to be here, so I'm not going to grab it. So unfortunately, tonight I am drinking Buffalo Trace. But I guarantee you 4 Roses will be up in thoughts of you. Like I said, I've been thinking about you a lot. But here's Buffalo Trace. That is what is in the glass. And, of course, tonight is the TGRN True Grit Roots Network glass with, of course, the requisite stones in the bottom because, of course, it takes stones to drink with whiskey. So here we go. And there we are. There we are. Nice little sip out of the glass. All right, let's go ahead and talk about tonight's sponsor. Of course, tonight's sponsor, since we are in the TGRN glass, is none other than TGRN. That's right, True Grit Roots Network. TGRN.net is our home, and is our home on the web, and you can go and check us out. We have 2 channels. We have the Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio channel and the Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio channel. You can go and check out both of them. If you go to tgrn.net, you can pull up and listen right there from your browser. You can see on the screen right now, these are the two widgets. All you have to do is hit the play button on either one, and you can listen directly through your browser. Or if you really, and this one we really would appreciate, is if you can go to download the app. We have one for each. We have the app for WTBR, or Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio, as well as Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. And they're all right there. App Store and Google Play, you can get them both. And you can go to tgrn.net, go to the home page, just the front page. All you have to do is scroll down, and you'll find the links, and you'll be able to click on them and it'll take you right to download those. So go and check us out. Check out Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio or Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. And if you like both of them, just download both. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that. It kind of depends on your mood as to which way you want to go, whether it's for Walter Trout or Blues Rock, or whether you want Outlaw Radio, which has a great mix of rock and country and all kinds of stuff. So you can go and check out both of those at tgrn.net. And hey, why don't you show off your love of the TGRN stations, or even just TGRN itself? Head on over to shop.tgrn.net. Shop.tgrn.net. And you can go and take a look at our offerings there. You can pick up t-shirts, hoodies, and caps with the TGRN logo, the Dallas Moore logo, or the Walter Trout Blues Rock logo, all right here. And you can check them out. We've got different colors, different styles. I personally like the True Grit Roots Network t-shirt. And look at that logo. I mean, that just is awesome right there. It's on the t-shirt. I like it in black. You might want to grab that to show your support for our True Grit Roots Network. Go and check them out today. Go to shop.tgrn.net, or, of course, you can just go tgrn.net. TGRN, that stands for True Grit Roots Network, and we are based out of Austin, Texas. And we thank you for your support. All right. Oh, Bonnie, I may have to go and grab a bottle just for the man. That's Woodford Reserve is what she's talking about. She's in the chat. For those of you that haven't done this yet, seriously, you got to go over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. Once you have that account, once you sign up for the account, sign in, and then when you watch this video, you can chat live with a bunch of fantastic Whiskey Warrior P1s, and you'll be able to see and listen and talk and do whatever with all of these wonderful people. All of my Whiskey Warrior P1s are fantastic, folks. They keep me in line, that's for sure. All right, well, breaking news earlier today, unfortunately, sad news. 2 National Guard members were shot near the White House today. Apparently, the perpetrator is reportedly, now I haven't had this doubly confirmed yet, but was reportedly a Afghan national that came here during the disastrous withdrawal. Okay. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. And he was brought here apparently under some program that Biden called something like, our allies or something, moving Afghanistan allies or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it just, pretty sad, actually. Trump responded to the shooting in a post on Truth Social shortly after, revealing that the guardsmen were in critical condition. And it's the animal that shot the 2 National Guardsmen. Both are critically wounded, now in 2 separate hospitals, is also severely wounded, but regardless, will pay a very steep price. God bless our National Guard. Great National Guard. Sorry, got to quote it properly here. And all of our military and law enforcement These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States, and everyone associated with the office of the presidency, am with you. So there you go. Yeah, and it's sad that this happened. But apparently, I mean, I'm hoping that they're doing better. This was earlier today. I haven't heard or seen any updates. Of course, I really haven't been looking for any updates. But yeah, this is pretty sad. And you sit here and you got to wonder if some of the Democrat rhetoric, especially some of the Democrats dealing with this whole thing about unlawful orders, whether that might have triggered something in all of this. Well, speaking about that unlawful order, one of the seditious six, in that video, I've played it a couple of times here. I won't play it again, but at least not tonight. But one of the seditious six was Senator Mark Kelly. Now, Mark Kelly, in a, I don't know if this was like I want to show you that I'm like some military hero or whatever. I want to show I'm some military hero. So here, I'm going to take a photo of my dress whites with all of my medals on it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to tell you, once you get those medals and those ribbons into order, okay, you don't usually take them off. And in fact, if I had somebody here in the studio to give me a hand, I would go and grab my old Class A uniform from the Army. Now, it's not as sharp as like a Class White or whatever, the dress whites. But I can sit here and I can tell you that once you put those medals in order, you usually don't take them out of order. And as a case in point, if your ribbons are not in order or your pins are not a specific distance away from certain collar points or whatever as defined in the manuals for how all of this, and well, first of all, digress quick only because she asked. Bonnie asks, can I still fit in my dress whites? I was enlisted, so I did not get dress whites. And I was also in the Army, so the Army doesn't have dress whites. They have dress blues, but you only get dress blues when you become a certain rank or if you're an officer. And no, there is no way. I can't even fit in my Class A's. Trust me. If I were to put that jacket on, I'm like way outside regulation for weight, so no. Anyway, yeah, so anyway, yeah, I could fit in my dress socks. Thanks for that, 3 Chevy. Yeah, I could fit in the dress socks. As I was saying, let me go back to this. So as I was saying, there was a picture posted, and this carries over from last night because there was a picture posted on X by Senator Mark Kelly himself. Okay. And here is the post. Go ahead and show you. There's the post. And I'll zoom in a little bit. Here's the image of the dress white uniform. Now, granted, the image, explodes a little bit bigger. So here you can see he basically is showing, when I was 22 years old, I commissioned as an ensign, and he lists out this whole thing, 39 combat missions in Operation Desert Storm, test pilots. He kind of goes and he like lays it all out. Now I can just point something out to you folks. All right. If you are a retired military individual and you are attempting to, put out some one-upsmanship, let's say, you might want to make sure that your medals are in the proper order. Because if you don't, well, there could be a bit of a problem because some people could call you out for it. what I'm showing here on the screen, and actually what I'll do is I will get out of the way, but I'll continue to talk here. This is the zoomed in portion of the medals that Mark Kelly posted. Now, I went through and found what I could out of Mark Kelly's medals here and matched them up, ribbon for ribbon, medal for medal, to each one that's there. Now, there are 3 rows of 5. So he literally has 15 medals on his listing here. And I can tell you for a fact that his medals are out of order on the 2nd row and the 3rd row. Now, no, this image is not mirror image, because if you look, you can look close enough, you can see the number 2 is correct on his top row. Now, I am going to tell you, his top row is correct. His top row is in line. There are 5 of them. You can see it on the left-hand side of the screen. Well, the right-hand side of the screen has 3 rows of 4 there, and I'll explain why there's a differential here. But there's 3 rows of 4, and as you can see, the first 5 medals are correct. It's when he gets to medal number 6, 7, 8, and 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so the 2nd row, he has a couple of medals missing that show up in the 3rd row. And if you look close on the 3rd row, at the bottom of the 3rd row, on the left and the right, on the bottom, there's 2 medals there. One of them is the Navy, I think it's the Navy service ribbon. And the other one is the Navy and Marine Corps service ribbon. Now, those 2 in particular need to be above and in front of what he has in that 2nd row, with the exception of the one of the medals there. I can't think of what they are. The 2 NASA medals that he has in the 3rd row are below the left corner and right corner of the left side 3rd row. I know this is hard to describe while you're, in the audio portion of the program, so you should really go and check this image out. But he really, trust me, the 2nd row and the 3rd row are kind of screwed up. And this is what Pig Hegseth was calling out, because he hit back. And he goes, "So, Captain Kelly, not only did your sedition video intentionally undercut good order and discipline, but you can't even display your uniform correctly. Your medals are out of order and rows reversed. When and if you are recalled to active duty, it will start with a uniform inspection." Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I could only find, out of the 2 NASA medals that are here, I could only find one of them. And there's no mention, none, in terms of what order they are supposed to be in. So, for an example, his National Defense Service Medal, service ribbon, which is in the lower right-hand corner, is supposed to be above, meaning higher, on the list than his pistol qualification. He's got them backwards here. His, I think it's the Middle East service ribbon and something else. There's one other one that he has. Let me see if I can, where is this thing? Yeah, so let's see. So for an example, his, let's see, his Southeast Asia service medal is in the right place. But he's got the, yeah. So he has 2 Kuwaiti liberation ribbons that are supposed to be below the National Defense Service ribbon, according to the Navy thing here. His pistol marksmanship ribbon, which is in row 2 all the way to the right-hand side, is supposed to be in row 3 all the way to the right-hand side. Then going from the bottom all the way up, it should be pistol marksmanship, Kuwaiti Liberation Medal, Kuwaiti Liberation Medal from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and then coming up after that. And by the way, his 2 NASA ribbons, if they're not even in order or in the rank with this stuff, his NASA ribbons should be at the very tail end, by the way. So he's got stuff all out of place. He got it all out of place right now in terms of row number 2 and row number 3. And in particular, it's the, let's see, what are the 2 that are really and truly out of place? The Navy, I'm trying to find it here. Hold on. It's the, yeah, the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation is the top green one on the end of the top row. Then he should have the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, the Navy Achievement Medal also in there as well. And so, yeah, it's like, it's way out of line. All of these things are out of line. Anyway, yes, I am going down a rabbit hole, but this just irritates me. It kind of irritated me because everybody was like trying to defend Mark Kelly. Nah, we're not going to defend that member of Seditious Six. Oh, here is, by the way, let me go ahead and clean this off and come back. Here is one of the Navy medals. Let me back this off. I'm sorry, one of the NASA medals, which again, the NASA medal doesn't even show up anywhere. I had to like go to the Navy combination of NASA website, and it doesn't say what order that actually is supposed to go in. So honestly, that should be outside of or below any of his other medals. So, yeah, he's just all discombobulated for all of that. And I can't even imagine why he would sit there and be all excited and all up, Again, if you're going to show off something like that, you damn well better make sure they're all in order. Well, Ruben Gallego, apparently he's defending these Democratic seditious six who literally urge service members. I mean, I'm sorry. How else can you take the fact that they claim the president has issued orders to pit the United States military against American citizens? There is no other way for you to take that. I mean, that literally is, they're saying that American citizens are being attacked by the United States military. And you would automatically, and when you tie that with unlawful, or in their case, illegal orders, that's the first thing you think of. So why anybody would think that, no, these Congress people, Senate people, yeah, they're just reminding people that they don't need to follow legal order or illegal orders. Yeah, really. And like that isn't intending on trying to break ranks, insubordination, disloyalty, break morale, all of those things which are under 18 USC 2387. So I'm sorry, it just doesn't fly here. But Ruben Gallego has now come out, and he is an Arizona representative. Which of course he is going to back up Mark Kelly, because Mark Kelly is also a Democrat and from Arizona. And Ruben Gallego warned military members that there will be consequences if they allowed Senator Mark Kelly to be court-martialed. Yeah, like that's really, I mean, what the hell? Oh, military members, you're going to be in trouble because your JAG investigation is going to happen. Like, you have much of a choice. Give me a freaking break, you moron. So he reacted to the Department of War's announcement earlier that day on X as it launched a formal review into allegations of misconduct against Kelly, a retired Navy captain, which, again, if he's a retired Navy captain, I mean, dude, you should know this. Hello, you're an idiot. You've been in 22 years and you don't understand what you did? Come on. No, he knew. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was hoping that nobody else was going to pick up on it. But anyway, Gallego appeared on CNN's some show on CNN and told Casey Hunt that he has faith in the U.S. military and justice system to handle the case properly, adding that officers know there would be fallout if they tried to railroad Kelly. How are you going to railroad somebody who committed a crime and literally is on video committing the crime? I don't know. This guy, this guy's crazy. Gallego said Donald Trump is going to be gone in a couple of years, and if you're a part of the military that's going after sitting senators, sitting members of Congress, and part of the weaponization of government, there will be consequences without a doubt. He added, I think there's going to be a lot of officers that will be part of this potential tribunal, if they want to call it that will be looking over their shoulders because they know Donald Trump will be gone and they will not have that protection. So, wait a minute, isn't this a threat? I mean, wouldn't this be considered an attempt to influence the jury in some way? So why isn't Ruben Gallego being picked up on this? I mean, this would be no different, honestly, than for a congressperson or a city councilman or something. There would be, like a murder investigation. Okay. All right. So there we go. Sorry about that. The stream dropped. I've been having this issue here recently, and the stupid thing, I don't know. They're trying to fix it. Trust me. They're trying to fix it. But anyway, so, yeah, here we go. All I'm going to say is that this guy, Gallego, man, you are a complete, utter, stupid moron. But then again, you're a Democrat. So, yeah. Anyway. Gallego probably got pissed because I was talking about him and giving him all kinds of bad names. But anyway, as I was saying, I mean, this guy, it's like saying something to a jury. Predisposing something to a jury. Say, hey, jurists, you people on the jury, if you don't return the proper verdict here, man, there's going to be some hell to pay in a couple of years. Yeah, what a bunch of shit. Anyway. I really don't. This guy, I just got to say, this guy is, what a mess. What a moron. Anyway. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can get all the way. Yeah. Okay. So I can't even imagine that somebody like this is just doing this? What a stupid idiot. Anyway. All right. Well, some good news for Donald Trump. Not like we, sleazy, or not sleazy, sorry, palms. They are. They're stupid. Oh, they're stupid morons. That's why I don't understand. Give me just a second here. All right, give me just a second here. Let's see if this becomes a bit of a problem. It still continues to be a problem. I'm going to have to do something for this. Yeah. All right, folks. I think we're back. Here. I'm going to have to, let's see, where is this thing? All right. Yeah, the green triangle of doom and all that other stuff. Hopefully it'll come back here in a second. But if this keeps going, I'm going to have to kill this and then kill my connection and then come back, which will really suck if it does. But let's see what we get here. There it is. All right. So anyway, I'm back. All right. We'll see how long this lasts. But anyway, as I was saying, the Georgia prosecutor, because we talked about this, a couple of weeks ago, how, and maybe even a little bit longer than that, but how the American, or how the, yeah, okay, hopefully, how the, for those of you in the audio portion of the program, the video portion of the program is really having a bad time tonight. Oh, we get into these technical difficulties. Oh my gosh. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So the Georgia prosecutor in the 2020 election interference case, you remember Fannie Willis got booted. Wade, whatever his name got booted prior to her. Okay. Okay. Now, this is obviously a problem. We say back and forth, back and forth. I'm done. Hold on. I'm going to try and reset this. So. Okay. Yeah, this is a bit of a problem here, folks. Bing bong, ping pong, ping pong. Here we go, back and forth. All right. Hopefully this will be a little bit more, shall we say, stable. Anyway. All right. So what was I saying? Oh yes, the Georgia prosecutor, who was assigned to try and find somebody, they basically couldn't find anybody, and so they decided to take it on themselves. And that individual who decided to take it on themselves has now dropped the case. And they dropped it with this. In my professional opinion, the citizens of Georgia are not served by pursuing this case in full for another 5 to 10 years. There you go. Yep. There you go. So they have decided that that's the prosecutor, Pete Skandalakis, said in court papers filed today that the case should be ended to serve the interests of justice and promote judicial finality. So there you go. There you go. He cited a number of issues with the case, including some constitutional questions, the supremacy clause with regard to immunity, jurisdiction, venue, speedy trial concerns, and access to federal records. So in other words, this case never should have even been brought. That's basically where we're at. This case should never have even been brought, but it went ahead and was attempted to be brought anyway. So here you go. He goes, even assuming each of these issues were resolved in the state's favor, bringing this case before a jury in 2029, 2030, or even 2031 would be nothing short of a remarkable feat. Yeah, so they're oh, what an idiot. Anyway, they've decided to abandon that case, which they absolutely should. I mean, there really should be no, like I said, it never should have been brought in the first case at all. So, yeah. So that's one of many cases that needs to be dropped against Donald Trump. Well, Chicago's mayor, who just, a couple weeks ago, he was saying that the killing of a person was a failure on a part of D.C., or not D.C., sorry, this is Mayor Johnson, Chicago, that the killing of somebody in Chicago who was done by a murderer that had been released on the street something like, 42 times or whatever. Well, he's back in the news. He's back in the news because he opened up his mind, or mouth, and lost his mind. Because he says now that, oh, wait, imprisoning violent criminals is racist, immoral, and unholy. Yeah, these idiots, again, these idiots, they don't have, like, our friend Lisa Ekman said, their cognitive dissonance is incredibly broken up. And anyway, this guy is like, we cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. There actually was a study done and a report that just came out. I talked about it last night that stated exactly that. That most crime, the majority of crime, is committed by repeat offenders. And that if you were to just lock up those repeat offenders, you wouldn't have as much crime. Yep. Anyway, he continued here and says, we've already tried that. And we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world, without solving the problems of crime and violence. No, I guarantee you haven't solved the problem. And the reason why you haven't solved the problem is because of the plain and simple fact that you refuse to do what needs to be done, which is incarcerate these assholes for as long as they can. Put them in there, lock the door, throw away the key. End of story. He continued and says, the addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. No, you haven't. Then he continued and said, it is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down. Except there's only one problem. What else are you going to do? You've already been releasing these criminals. You've been releasing them. You've been giving them, probation and all this other stuff. And now you're going to sit here and tell me that incarcerating them is wrong? Yeah, no, you failed. You failed. And you're failing because of the fact that you are, failing in your job, which you yourself admitted. Johnson, you yourself admitted just a week or so ago. I mean, this is freaking ridiculous. You're going to sit here and complain about the fact that incarceration is all of these things, and yet you just said that you failed because you didn't incarcerate the guy that killed, that had been in and out of the system something like 42 times? Yeah. What a ridiculous thing. Now, keep in mind that Chicago itself, of course, is notorious around the world for its problem with violent crime, continually recording hundreds of homicides each year. Many of them happen and occur over on the weekends and things of that nature, and they always have at least one shooting on a weekend. Guaranteed. At least one. And the article here from the Gateway Pundit points out this is largely driven by shootings concentrated in a small number of South and West Side neighborhoods, with most of the victims and offenders being young men. They left off the other part, being young black men. The majority of victims and offenders in violent crime in just about anywhere is young black men by all available statistics. By all available statistics. See, they're ignoring the reality of the situation. That 13% of the population commits 50% of the violent crime. They ignore that statistic because to them that is racist when it's actually not, because it is majority of it, even so, is black on black crime. So how can black on black crime be considered racist? Now, if it was black on white crime or white on black crime or white on Asian crime, Asian on white, Asian on black, then yeah, you absolutely could claim a racist component potentially for it. But the vast majority of these crimes in Chicago are black on black. They are not interracial. They're intraracial. So how can he sit here and call out this idea that is like, well, this is racist? No, it's not. How is it racist? Your own people. Yeah, I mean, Mayor Johnson is black. So your own people are the ones that are doing it. Seriously. Oh, and by the way, Johnson, of course, goes flip-flops back and forth on this. He had a full-blown meltdown when a reporter used the proper term, the legal term for, well, illegal aliens as illegal aliens. And he's like, we don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's some sort of sci-fi message that you wish to add. The legal term for my people were slaves. Okay. Then he goes, you want me to use that term too? Well, not today. Today it's not. Today it's not. And then, of course, we're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. No, the legal term is illegal alien, dumbass. Anyway. Yeah, he's just lost. He is just lost. He doesn't know what to do. He's over his head in all of this. He's way over his head in all of this. And it's just a complete, utter nightmare that, this guy, most Dems are. Most Dems are dumb. Most Dems are Dems or Dems or Dems or Dims. I don't know. I can't even understand what that actually means. They're just complete, utter, stupid morons. Let's just use my terminology for it. All right. Well, as if on cue to demonstrate how out of touch these Democrats are, how out of touch these leftist lunatics are, and how prone they are to violence. How they are prone to violence has produced itself here in my next story. But first, let me tell you about this wonderful elixir that I start with every single morning. It's called coffee. And I drink it out of a big old mug, a 16-ounce mug. This mug, of course, came from my wonderful whiskey children, whiskey offspring. And they have Father Like No Other on it. It's a big old 16-ounce cup. One of my proudest or pride possessions, I guess. I don't know. I use it every day. Let's just call it that out. Well, if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. There's only a small number of units available. And within each unit, you're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and you'll also be getting their Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of them are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also going to be getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. That's my personal favorite. You'll also receive in the kit a frother that is strong enough not only to stir up your coffee, but will also do so with your mother-in-law's opinions. Not like she really needs any help. You'll also be receiving a black 1775 tumbler. All of this is $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just the low, low price of $99. This is for the ones who have been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com. That's the numbers 1775, the word coffee, all together, all one word, .com, / which is your question mark key on your keyboard, / studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. Once again, that is 1775coffee.com / studio, STUDIO, to grab your starter kit before they disappear. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com / studio, STUDIO. Grab your starter kit today. Well, not too long ago, there was I'm guessing, anyway, oh, gee, G puts up 1775. So bold, you'll feel as awake as being introduced to a colonial 12-pounder at Yorktown. And there you go. Anyway, a spoon clip, sleazy. It's the scooper that you would use to scoop the coffee in. And I don't know why they call it a gold spoon clip, but whatever. Anyway, it's the little scooper that you would scoop the coffee out for. Anyway, all right. So a psychotherapist recently went on Fox News to actually diagnose and discuss what's known as Trump derangement syndrome, known as TDS. And he described how many of his patients were actually suffering from the mental condition. Now, my guess is that he services a lot of Democrats and a lot of leftists because that's where they came from. Well, apparently those same people are now turning on him because he is now supposedly receiving death threats. That's right. He is now receiving death threats for calling out the fact that Trump derangement syndrome exists and that many of his patients have it. I mean, hello, all we have to do is look at Rosie O'Donnell or any other entitled leftist lunatic out of Hollywood, and you know that they have TDS. His name is Jonathan Alpert. He is a therapist and an author. He wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal in which he discussed how many of his patients cite President Donald Trump as one of the reasons that they are experiencing mental health problems. Now, I'm just going to point something out to you. If you are allowing the President of the United States, who many, many people have never actually met, if you're allowing that person to adjust your, what do you call it, your mental health, your mental state, you are in a bit of trouble. Because let's be honest here. Nobody should be altering your mental state that much. You really shouldn't. Because things like, not caring about what other people think of you and also not caring about their opinions, knowing that their opinions of you are literally none of your business. That's like the best methodology that you could actually take with a lot of this stuff. But anyway, he wrote this op-ed, and during his prior appearance on Fox News, he said about 75% of his patients actually suffer from the condition known as TDS. And people are now supposedly upset with him. So, according to Fox News Digital, Alpert shared with them several messages that he's received via text and email over the past week. One message read this: "Eat shit and die, you racist, fascist piece of shit. Effing uneducated MAGA scumbag." I've heard that one before. Another one said, "Pedophile protector." Oh, I've heard that one a lot. A third message read, "You're a low-life, worthless, fraudulent piece of shit pedophile who decent people hope is slaughtered, and the video is posted to YouTube." Wow, that's specific. Now, keep in mind, I personally have been called many of these things. Now, granted, I just laugh it off because, frankly, I really don't give a shit. You know, any of you leftists out there who think that you're attempting to get to me over social media and say stuff like I'm racist, I'm a Nazi, all this other crap, yeah, I don't care. You're barely worth my time in the first place. The only reason why I actually entertain you guys is because I find it literally that, entertaining. Because you're so damn stupid and you're so brainwashed and sucked into the vortex of brainwashed ability and sucking down the Kool-Aid that of the left, that I can't even imagine what it would be like to go through life that way. Anyway, Alpert reacted to the messages in the interview with Fox Digital. He says, it's been intense. I expect disagreement, but I didn't expect a level of hostility, especially from people in the medical health field. Now, yeah. You got to kind of wonder. I mean, think about that for a second. People in the medical health field, or the mental health field, I should say, people in the mental health field are threatening a mental health professional on his professional opinion about a potential malady known as Trump derangement syndrome. Ugh. I mean, really? Really? He continues and says, what has stood out is the contradiction. Many of the people who speak the most about empathy, tolerance, and inclusion reacted with the least of it. That reversal tells us something about how emotionally charged politics has become. No, actually, folks, that doesn't show us how emotionally charged politics has become. That shows us how emotionally deranged the leftist, lunatic, brainwashed, cult-like left has become. Those idiots, I'm telling you, are just like, whoo. Anyway. He was asked during his initial appearance on Fox News with host Harris Faulkner, he was asked about his experiences with patients suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Faulkner asked, so first of all, identify it for us. You're in a session and you pick up on what? And he goes, well, Harris, it doesn't take long for me to pick up on this. People are obsessed with Trump. They're fixated. They're hyper fixated on Trump. And they talk about some of the features of this disorder. They can't sleep. They feel traumatized by Trump. They feel restless. I had one patient who said she couldn't enjoy a vacation because anytime she saw Trump on the news or on her device, she felt triggered. Yeah, no shit. Sherlock. Oh my gosh. Do you realize how stupid you sound? I'm just asking. I'm not talking about my Whiskey Warrior P1s. They're smart. They understand. They're not a part of this. But seriously, do you know how stupid you sound? You yourself have no interaction with the president. In fact, 99% of what the president does or says has literally zero impact on your life. And yet, that's all you think about. I mean, what? Hell, I don't even let people who work with me or are relatively close to me affect my life that much. These people are just nuts. Oh my gosh. Now, he continues on here. He goes, this is profound pathology. And I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time. He further explained that the president is the trigger for many of these people, and that to be so obsessed with Trump is simply not healthy. You think? Now, the therapist reaffirmed his claim that 3/4 of my patients will present with a lot of these symptoms, and within probably 5 minutes of seeing me, their hatred for Trump comes up. Trust me. I'm right there with this doctor. I'm not even a doctor. I'm not even a therapist or a psychotherapist. And I can pick these people out. The minute that they start talking about, well, Donald Trump, what the hell? What the hell? Who the hell cares? I mean, seriously, folks, why would you even... What? I mean, Biden was in office, and yes, Biden was actually screwing with my life because he created inflation, the worst inflation ever in 40 years. Biden and the Democrats created that. And I didn't even hardly care whether Biden was on TV or not. I mean, other than, of course, calling him a complete stupid moron and saying that he didn't deserve to be president and saying that he was, on the take through his son, Hunter Biden, and stuff like that. But I mean, come on. He didn't affect me. He was not in charge of my world. Anyway, by the way, Alpert is based in Manhattan. Well, that explains it. That explains it completely. Faulkner asked whether other therapists could actually be exacerbating the problem. She said, when practitioners indulge their own biases, patients can become more anxious and depressed. So you think this is working its way into your medical field? Alpert dropped the dime here, folks. He goes, my profession is a huge part of the problem. Therapists, the people who are supposed to be helping people, are actually dividing this country. He goes, if you go back a year ago, there was one psychiatrist who I actually told people on national TV, if you don't like the way that your relative or friend voted, cut them out of your life. Really? I mean, yeah. God. Anyway, the therapist continued. He did say things like, when asked about a way to treat TDS, Alpert said it's important to help them separate fact from fiction. Oh, that's a big lift, because these morons, they believe fiction more than fact. You try to give them facts. I mean, I give facts on this show every day. I give facts in social media every day. For an example, it's a fact that Title 18 USC Section 2387 was violated by the seditious six. I get told all the time that that's a lie, and that's crap. It actually was. Anyway, Alpert continues here. He says, so one of the big tasks that I have is to try to educate these patients and dispel a lot of their beliefs. Good luck with that one, Doc. That ain't going to happen. The therapist continued and explained, he's like, Trump is not a Nazi. He's not rounding up the gays and shipping them off to some faraway land. He continued and added, a lot of my time as a therapist is spent trying to correct these people's beliefs. Yeah, again, good luck with that one, Doc. Oh, this one is so true. Alpert also pointed out that the other problem is their echo chambers. Blue sky, anyone? He says, these people are on social media and they're only surrounding themselves with one view. No, they're not. Of course they're not. No, come on. Really? No. Yeah, it is true. That's all they do. If you don't agree with them, and we heard about this when I interviewed Lisa Ekman. If you don't agree with the narrative, if you don't agree with the ideology, you are ostracized. Even if you have been a 20-year veteran of the Democrat machine. Exactly like what happened to her. She started questioning the narrative, and she immediately got ostracized. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? That is a complete brainwashing scenario and technique. And anyway, he goes, they're only surrounding themselves with one view. It's important that they understand the full picture. Yeah, they're never going to understand the full picture because they have absolutely zero intention of bringing themselves out of their little echo chamber where their safe space, where they feel like, oh, I am going to be protected here. Yeah, it's a bunch of shit is what it is. Total bunch of shit. This guy's horrible. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I feel sorry for the man. I do. I feel sorry for the guy, completely. But hey, those are the type of people that you're dealing with in the psychotherapist world in the middle of Manhattan. Anyway. All right. Well, some justice also has been carried through for the strongest in this case, world's strongest woman. This report out of the Daily Wire, the 2025 World's Strongest Woman competition that occurred in Arlington, Texas, erupted into controversy after the American competitor called Jamie, I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced, the Jammie, Booker, who won the official Strongman Games World Championship over the weekend, was actually stripped of the title on Tuesday when our organizers said that Booker failed to disclose that they're a man. Booker was disqualified for violating the rules that mandate contestants compete in the division matching the sex they were born as. The organizers explained in a statement, it appears that the athlete, who is biologically male and who now identifies as a female, competed in the women's open category. Strongman officials were unaware of this fact ahead of the competition, and we have been urgently investigating since being informed. This is the proper way to get out of it. Seriously, this is the proper way. You just, whatever you were born as, male or female, that's what you do. Okay? The statement continued and said, had we been aware or had this been declared at any point before or during the competition, this athlete would not have been permitted to compete in the women's open category. Booker claimed gold, while British powerhouse Andrea Thompson, a former champion and one of the most respected figures in the sport, stepped off the podium muttering, "This is bullshit," according to multiple witnesses. Yeah. Yep. So, there you go. And by the way, 3-time world's strongest woman Rebecca Roberts ignited the backlash further, saying that no athletes or organizers knew about Booker's background. A resurfaced 2017 YouTube video appearing to show Booker describing herself as a 21-year-old trans woman fueled those concerns. So, yeah, there you go. Well, they got, he, whatever, got what they deserved. They should not have been competing. It really shouldn't. They shouldn't have been competing in women's sports. All right, folks. I got to get this done fairly quickly. So we're coming up on Thanksgiving tomorrow. And one of the things, as I said at the top of the program, one of the things that I've found as a good tradition is to listen to the roughly 30-minute video of Rush Limbaugh. And it's broken up into parts because he had to take commercial breaks. He was on the radio. But the roughly 30-minute story of the true Thanksgiving. Now, I'm going to paraphrase it really quickly here, quicker than he did, of course, because he goes into a lot of detail. But the fact of the matter is this: the Pilgrims' story back in 1620, coming over here, is the defining story that starts the process of the creation of America. And what we need to understand is that these pilgrims, these individuals who came here searching for the ability to essentially worship the way that they wanted to, which is a key component in the Constitution, First Amendment, and where a lot of individuals came here and were founded. It helped found our great country that we call home here. But the story goes beyond just that. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to understand, and what often gets glossed over when the story is being told, is the fact that these pilgrims were under immense pressure and hardship. Not only in their first transfer, because remember, the Pilgrims themselves were separatists from the Church of England. The Church of England was actually gathering up and jailing or killing people who did not recognize the Church of England as the de facto law and religious organization. So it was both. It was both the state and the religious leaders. And so what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that the Pilgrims, being the separatists that they were, they left England because they did not want to obviously get either killed or jailed. And they left England. They went to the Dutch colonies over in the Amsterdam area. And they ended up trying to assimilate over there in their search for religious freedom. And while they were there, they noticed that their kids were taking on a lot of Dutch customs, which is not something that the Pilgrims necessarily wanted. And so because of that, they then made the decision to go to the New World. Now, back in the 1620s, first of all, you have to remember that the Mayflower, many pictures show it as like this three-masted ship. And you sit there, and in today's world, you sit there and you think about, okay, wow, 3 masts, that ship must have been huge. The ship itself probably was only about 50 feet long, 50 to 60 feet long. So 102 people boarded this ship along with its partner or sister ship. And by the way, the sister ship ended up crashing or being broken up at sea. And so they had to collect all of those people because it ended up leaking and it couldn't make the journey. And so they took the people that were on that ship and put them all on the Mayflower and continued the journey. So they get here in America. They intended to go to what was supposed to be the Hudson River mouth, and they ended up in Massachusetts Bay. And they come here and they find, Plymouth Rock. Everybody knows about Plymouth Rock. And they land on Plymouth Rock. They land there and they find, now keep in mind, they're landing in November. So if any of you know of Northeast winters, November gets kind of cold. And they realized that the land around is extremely rocky and inhospitable. And they literally have very little to survive on. So as a consequence, they created what they called the Mayflower Compact. And the Mayflower Compact is very short, extremely short. And it basically set up the colony to essentially act as a commune. Whereas everybody participates in the work and everybody gains an equal share of that work. Now, this is the first recorded known instance of communism in the new colonies. So they go and they get off the boat. They start building houses. They start having things happen, and they end up, many of the settlers end up not only sick from the journey, but they also pick up and get sick here because of the weather conditions and the cold. They don't have shelter. They don't have anything really. They don't have very many things in the way of stores. They don't know what to hunt. They don't know what's safe and what's safe to eat and what's not safe to eat. And so consequently, of the 102 passengers that arrived here on the Mayflower, roughly half of them died during that first winter. Springtime comes. And by the way, too, many of them are like children. So many of the children are now picking up where the adults couldn't or weren't able to do. And so anyway, they ended up building like one house. Everybody ends up, it turns into a hospital. They end up building a few other buildings, couple of them at most. And the living conditions were just absolutely horrific. I mean, you think here in our technological age, there's absolutely no way that we could endure the hardships that they did, because we are so technologically advanced that we, even in our survival situations, we have a much better chance of survival than they did because of our advancements in technology and our knowledge of science and that kind of thing. So understandably, spring comes. And as things start to bloom and come out, they try to find a better place to go. They go up and down the coastline, and they come to find a spot where they are able to, they see that the land has been completely cleared. And they end up trying to grow things. They can't seem to grow things. And they end up encountering, by glimpses, the local tribes. The local tribes, of course, don't show themselves all the time. They show themselves and then they run off. They run off because they're scared. Well, after a bit of time, one or actually two of the local Indians, one of them named Samoset, he comes over, and because he can speak very broken English, he approaches the Englishmen and he starts communicating with them. And granted, the Pilgrims are like amazed at the fact that this guy can actually speak at least a little bit of English, enough for them to be able to communicate. So Samoset starts telling them about the land and how to fish, how to hunt, how to plant. He teaches the colonists about the ways of his tribe that had been wiped out earlier. And he was the last one of his tribe. And so then he also, at the same time, he knows of another Indian, Native American, by the name of Squanto, who has a much larger vocabulary in the English language. And so he is able to bring Squanto, and the two of them are able to communicate with the new settlers. Now, the thing about it is that when you learn about the Pilgrims' history in school, they put an emphasis, because again, the leftists have taken control of this, they put an emphasis on the idea that the Native Americans did all these things to help the Pilgrims and help them along their way. And while I'm not disparaging their contributions, they didn't do like this huge, they didn't necessarily affect things like what you've been told. They helped them by showing them how to do stuff. But for the most part, the colonists were pretty much left on their own. And so what ended up happening is the colonists who were there following the original charter, William Bradford, who was the first one of the leaders of this settlement, he started to notice that some of the colonists were showing up to work late. They weren't pulling their fair weight. They weren't contributing in terms of the work, but they were taking that equal share of the profits. And what ended up happening is he finally realized that no, this commune style of living is not going to work. And so he essentially took the settlers and took the area that they were in and basically gave each settler an equal amount of land and basically said, look, you do with your land what you are going to do with it. And you produce whatever it is that you want to produce. But what you do is you produce what you need for yourself. But then anything that you produce that is above that, you can sell it off. You can trade for it. You can do whatever. And what ended up happening is that was the creation of the first tenets of capitalism that defeated or overrode the communism idea. And next thing you know, after a brief period of time, the colonists started to flourish. Things started to the colonists engaged, and they were all doing things. They were starting to gain the notoriety that everybody else throughout history understands as the fact that the colonists started to make money, or, well, make profits. They started to get involved. They started to work. They started to profit from their labors. And it was that change, not necessarily the interaction with the Native Americans, but it was that change that caused the colony to grow, that caused the colony to expand and start to flourish. Now, all of that being said, they come around to harvest time, and the colonists, they wanted to, thank, because, and keep in mind too, that these pilgrims who came here, they had a crap ton of faith. I'm talking, they had faith that God was pointing them to this new world, that God was backing them up, that God would protect them. Their faith was unwavering and undying. That's what drove them to be able to do the things that they did, was their faith in God. And so as time went on in the fall, when they got their bountiful harvest, they knew that God had brought them both Samoset and Squanto. And the other Native Americans that were in the area. So they invited them to come. Now, they weren't expecting at all the amount of Native Americans that showed up. They were only expecting roughly the same number as their colony, which would have been roughly around 50 people. But instead, the great chief Massasoit and his tribe came, and they brought about 90 people. And of those 90 people that came, they also brought harvests from their work over the spring and summer. And they brought 5 deer. They brought a whole bunch of other crops and things that they had harvested, and berries and food. And it turned into a 3-day feast for all of these people. And what ended up coming out from that gathering was another miracle. See, before all of this had happened, there was fear between the English settlers and the Native Americans. But in particular, what ended up happening was that the Wampanoag tribe and the Pilgrims came to an agreement. This agreement was remarkable in the fact that it lasted for more than 50 years. And it was an agreement between the tribe and the English settlers that if the English settlers were attacked, the tribe would come to their aid. If the tribe was attacked, the English settlers would come to their aid. And the two would have a mutually beneficial coexistence in this land. Now, this particular peace treaty, lasted longer than many of the subsequent peace treaties by other colonizing groups with Native American tribes. It was a just imagine, it was I want to call it a pièce de résistance in this particular case, because there were so many other bloody conflicts between other colonists and other tribes that the Pilgrims in this treaty, standing out for like they did because it lasted for more than 50 years, they succeeded in maintaining a long-lasting and equitable peace between the natives and the immigrants. And this is something that you don't hear in the histories of today. So the main pieces and items that we need to understand about Thanksgiving is, number one, that the colonists rejected socialism, rejected the communism idea. The collective farming and distribution idea that Governor Bradford at the time had recorded, that the system of socialism was found to breed such confusion and discontent and retard much employment that it would have been to their benefit and comfort. And by him making that change, scrapping the socialist idea, the communist idea of farming, and replacing it with the ownership of land for each of the families, and making them responsible for their own welfare, that the Pilgrims' productivity started surging. That, along with the treaty with the local tribe that was successfully maintained for over 50 years, the fact that they had so much faith in their God that they were able to endure all of the hardships that most of us today would just, I don't even know what we would do, honestly. We would have had no idea of what to do. And it was all of these things that helped to wrap together, as well as their what they considered to be their relational behavior, the tolerance that enabled them to keep relative harmony within their diverse community, and by how they would help others. For an example, in March of 1623, it became known that Massasoit was on the brink of death from an unknown illness. The senior Pilgrim elder, Edward Winslow, immediately set out on a 40-mile journey to administer medicinal broth, natural herbs, and prayers. Astonishingly, upon making a full recovery within days, Massasoit remarked, "Now I see the English are my friends and love me, and whilst I live, I will never forget this kindness they showed me." See, it was all of these things that brought everything together. This is the kind of stuff that you don't get in the history books. And this is something that Rush Limbaugh has done to correct the record. So when you get together and gather on this Thanksgiving, think about the fact that our predecessors, the first peoples to settle in this area that we credit for settling in this area, the Pilgrims, they achieved significant wins. They achieved things that were beyond what would normal people potentially do, and that the Thanksgiving feast is a celebration of those fantastic feats that Americans today should take part of and should remember as we gather tomorrow around our table. But I highly encourage you to go and listen to the Rush Limbaugh version. Believe me, I glossed over a lot. And so, yeah. Go and check that out. I gave the link in the chat Here, I'll do it again just to be on the safe side. And I'll put it in the chat for everybody to see. And you should go and check out the story of Thanksgiving, the true story of Thanksgiving across the board. All righty, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search for the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, oh, shoot, I just realized hang out for just a couple more minutes. I just realized that I was promising, or I was going to promise, the pet of the week. And so let's go ahead and cover that because I'd forgotten. Yeah, that's right. Let's go to pet of the week. All right, folks. Tonight's pet of the week was submitted by none other than Nana of JJS over on Rumble. And I'm sorry, Nana, I forgot your screen name earlier, which is why there was questions about it. I couldn't remember who you were. Anyway. So that being said, let's go ahead and get on to tonight's pet of the week. Nana writes, I have a porch cat. I call him Gray. He does not let me get near him. You know, it's amazing how some of these porch pets and pets that we have in our barns and other places, how much they get ingrained in our lives. And they should, because they're fantastic. Hang on, I got to get the pet of the week up. There's Gray sitting outside. And so apparently, Nana writes and continues here. He does not let me get near him. He does love the little house I put for him on the porch. When it is warm outside, he sleeps on top of it. Let's see if we can get a picture of that. There we go. When it's warm out, he sleeps on top of it. Maybe I don't know if that's the, that looks like the deck more so than the porch. But anyway, when it is warm out, he sleeps on top of it. He'll come a little closer to me when I'm giving him food and water. So here's another one now. There she's got him in the area. That's Gray. Gray kind of hanging out. You know, I wonder if he's a good mouser. You know, it's funny. Most cats won't go after rats. They will go after mice like crazy, but they won't go after rats. Our barn cat actually will go after rats if they're juveniles, but not the adults. And there's the little house. So there's the little house that she has for him. And it looks like he sleeps up on top of that, but he has the cat food out, and he's eating the cat food. Now, I can't leave cat food outside because the raccoons get to it, but it is what it is. So anyway, gorgeous little cat. He hopefully he does patrol duties for you, for any kind of rodents in your area, in appreciation for those wonderful things that you do for him, whether it's the house or the cat food, and of course the water. So anyway, so that is tonight's pet of the week, Gray. If you would like to hear or have me feature your pet for pet of the week, you need to get photos or video or both and send it off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will, of course, feature your pet on Pet of the Week for the Wednesday night show, provided that I don't forget. But anyway, my Whiskey Warrior P1 unofficial producers will always remind me. But anyway, yeah, send that in to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I'll, of course, get it in for Pet of the Week. No show again tomorrow. Just have a wonderful Thanksgiving, full of good food, family, and friends. Prayers for you, Bonnie. and your unfortunate situation that you're going through. That pause was ripped away way too early for it. So definitely we'll be praying for you as well. We will see you Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys on Friday, and good night, everybody.